Hi everyone, my name is Abhinharshan Senthil and today we are presenting milestone 3 for Ethermart, focusing on database resilience. The goal of this milestone was to achieve mastery level in higher availability by implementing MariaDB replication and advanced Galera cluster. Business context. Why we need 24/7 uptime. So let's start with the business context. Last week, we faced a brief database hiccup, and even that small amount of costly downtime negatively impacted our sales and customer trust. Our code requirement is simple. We need 24/7 availability for all critical data, that is products, orders, and customer accounts. If the database goes down, there is no browsing, no orders, and thus no sales. To solve this, we implemented and rigorously tested two high availability solutions, that is standard primary replication for basic backup and MariaDB Galera clustering for true zero downtime auto failover high availability. So standard MariaDB replication overview speaker notes. Our first setup was the standard MariaDB primary replication. We configured two AC2 AWS instances, one primary for read or write and one replica for read only. The key feature here is asynchronous replication. Primary saves the data first and then the replica copies it. So looking at the table, the main advantage is that it's excellent for read scaling, allowing us to offload reporting traffic. However, its major disadvantages are the potential for minor data loss due to lag, and critically, failover is manual, which means we still face downtime if the primary server fails unexpectedly. Standard replication. Standard replication implementation screenshots. So here is the proof of concept for the primary replica setup. We successfully launched our primary and replica instances, configured the my.cnf file on the primary to enable binary logging, and executed the change master to command on the replica. As shown in the bottom screenshots, we verified that the data inserted on the primary, including our customer, order, and product data, was immediately and consistently present on the replica instance. So for that, I have taken some screenshots. I will show you guys that. So first, I have created a primary instance and replica instance. So we created two instances in general. After that, we have to create a security group for them. So for that, we have to click on create security group. So there we have to write the security group name and description. And once we have created the security group names, we have to edit the inbound rules. So first, for the replication part, we have to add custom TCP 3306 and we have to save those rules. So once the replication is done, so we have to have a file name called my.cnf. In that, we have to write the commands for the replication. So once that is done and what that is saved, we have to restart MariaDB, and then we have to check if the file exists on replica as well. Once it is done, we can see that uh, the data that is there on the primary is also there on the replication. Before that, we have to load the CSV files onto the primary. We have to load all the CSV files like suppliers, reviews, reviewers, etc. So once we have loaded the data successfully, I have used wget command. Once we have loaded the database, once we have loaded the CSV files, then we get to check whether all the databases and tables are there on the primary. So we are using the show databases commands, and we can see that Milestone is the database and it is there. And also we can check on the replica that this database is there on replica or not. So use Milestone, it is there. And when we click on select star from customers limit 10, we're able to see the data. And I have checked with other as well, like select star from categories limit 10. There also we are able to see the data. And I have checked with orders table as well as order items table. So everywhere we are able to data on the application as well. So now moving to the Galera part. So MariaDB Galera clustering. Moving to the solution for the mastery level HA. HA means high availability. The MariaDB Galera cluster. This is a far more robust setup. We configured three AWS EC2 instances as a multi-node peer-to-peer cluster. Unlike the standard setup, Galera uses synchronous replication. This means all three nodes must confirm the transaction before it commits, guaranteeing data consistency across the entire cluster. This architecture delivers true high availability with automatic failover and near zero data loss. Crucially, this required careful configuration of our AWS security groups to allow cluster-wide communication on ports 4567 and 4568. Next, we are moving on to the screenshots. So this screenshot confirms that Galera configuration. We can see three Galera instances running in the AWS. The core of the setup is the galera.cnf file on each node, which specifies the cluster name and the cluster connection URL, listing all tier private IP addresses. This is what enables the nodes to find and communicate with each other. A successful setup culminates in the cluster health check, showing a size of 3, providing all nodes are active and synchronized. Moving to the next. Before moving to the next slide, I will show you what all steps I have taken for Galera. So these are the instances which I have created: primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3. That is node 1, node 2, and node 3. So also here also we have to create the security groups. And here we have custom TCP 3306, 4567, 4568, 4444, and custom UDP 4567. Then, as we already discussed, here we have primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3. Here we have to add all the IP addresses, private IP addresses, and here which we are editing. If you are doing for primary 1, on the WS rep node address, we have to give the private IP address of primary 1. Same. Here we have to give the private IP address of primary 2, and here we have to give the private IP address of primary 3. So once all of this is done, you have to load the CSV files onto the primary 1, and you have to check whether the data is there. So for this, I can give you a live demonstration. So here it is. So this is primary 1. So I click on show database and milestone is there. Show tables, all the tables are coming. And here I was able to see the data as well. So same is there on primary 2. We are able to see the customer details, and primary 3 also we are able to see the product details. So it is clustering is kind of working fine. So moving to the next screenshot. Cluster operations and testing. The real test of high availability is the operations and failover test. We successfully demonstrated scaling by adding and gracefully removing nodes without interrupting the service. So here we can see we have added a cluster. Here we have removed a cluster. It didn't affect the service interruptions. The most important test was failover test. We abruptly stopped one of the core Galera nodes. The remaining nodes immediately maintained quorum and continue to handle critical operations like logins and new orders without any interruption to the application. This demonstrates true resilience and the self-healing nature of the cluster. We also verify data consistency across all remaining nodes after the event. It's a solution comparison and recommendation. To summarize our findings, this table clearly outlines the difference. Standard replication is great for read scaling, but it's weak on availability because failover is manual. Galera cluster, on the other hand, guarantees zero data loss and provides automatic self-healing failover. It also supports multi-primary writes. So our recommendation for Ethermart is to use Galera cluster for all mission critical customer and order data to ensure guaranteed synchronous consistency and 24/7 automatic failover. So moving on to the next slide, data integration and consistency. We completed the data integration phase by successfully loading a portion of our milestone 1 dataset into both the primary replica and the Galera cluster. Our final check verified that all core tables, products, customers, orders, and reviews were fully and consistently replicated across both HA environments. So moving to the AI usage disclosure slide. We use both ChatGPT and Gemini to accelerate this milestone. Gemini was particularly helpful in configuring the complex primary or replica and Galera settings, assisting with AWS security groups, rules, and drafting the structure of this presentation. ChatGPT was used primarily for generating data ingestion commands. The overall impact of the AI was significant boost to initial setup efficiency, saving us several hours on repetitive template generation. However, I want to emphasize that AI did not replace the need for my expertise. I had to manually correct outdated MariaDB syntax, customize all IP addresses, and most importantly, perform expert debugging on complex networking issues like those in the Galera configuration. AI speed things up, but human technical mastery was still the final required step. Thank you guys. This milestone successfully achieved our goal of building a robust 24 by 7 available database architecture for Ethernet. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you so much.